Cost Cutters is your family's full-service salon specializing in cuts, colors, and curls. Visit any one of our professional stylists today and get the look you want for less. Welcome to Making the Grade. I'm Dave Dickey, sitting in for the first segment anyway for Rich Dahman, as we're going to talk to Rich and Sarah Slobby about the upcoming District 861 referendum. So thank you both for being here today.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about the referendum. It's going to be on the ballot this coming November. And why are we in need of the bond referendum at this time?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple different things. We have had numerous studies over the years, including a recent community task force on facilities and a recent community survey that really identified that we have some pressing immediate needs in our facilities. A couple things that we're looking to address with this bond referendum are in making our schools even safer and more accessible, and also addressing some of our critical needs in all 6 of our school buildings. And Sarah, do you want to add some things to that?
You know, it's important to note that there's a lot of long-standing repair needs that our schools have, and the current state funding just really does not address that. Which leaves many districts, including Winona, in the position of having to make decisions between putting a new roof on a building or continuing a music program. And so this bond referendum would help alleviate some of that.
Now, Rich, you talked about some critical issues. What are those, and how do you go about identifying those critical issues?
Well, after last fall's election and referendum, we knew that we needed to get more information from the community about what they would support and identify what our needs are. So we conducted a very extensive community survey, was one of the things that we did to help plan for this. We surveyed over 2,200 respondents. Well, actually the survey went out to everyone within our school district, but there were over 2,200 respondents, which is a great response rate. And they made it clear through that survey result that they wanted us to address our facilities issues and bring something back to the voters. And because of that response, we reconvened a community task force on facilities. They really dug into the issues and identified 2 different things, both some very critical immediate needs that we have, and that we have to come up with some type of a plan to address our long-range needs. So a big part of our discussion in the planning for this, what we're calling phase 1, are what are those critical needs, how big of a tax impact would our community support. So we put something together that we think both meets many of those needs, but also at a price that is very affordable for our taxpayers.
The task force brought forward a plan which was ultimately recommended by Superintendent Dahman to the school board, and the school board then approved that same plan. So I think it's great to see the different groups working together to come up with a plan. The task force identified 3 most pressing needs: safety and security, accessibility in our buildings, and then critical asset preservation. And so those are the 3 areas that we're looking to address in phase 1.
Now, phase 1, how long is that going to take to complete? Is this a multi-year kind of a project as far as phase 1 is concerned?
Yeah, I'll let Sarah.
Sure. With a successful referendum, planning would begin almost immediately. That'd be happening over the winter, with the majority of those projects happening in summer of 2019, and then anything remaining would be completing in the summer of 2020.
All right, so rather pretty quick turnaround.
Correct.
Yes. And so, I think maybe one more thing to add to that is that our goal is to get those projects completed with as little disruption to the classrooms as possible, is why we're utilizing summers to work on those projects. And as Sarah mentioned, a large majority of those would be completed in the upcoming summer. But to limit disruptions, there are some that we would extend to the following summer.
Safety and security is important People think about more than ever with schools, unfortunately, in these last few years because of those several incidents. How is Winona Area Public Schools addressing that issue?
Yeah, there's a couple different pieces to that. It's safety and security of our students and staff is vital for us. It's one of the most important things that we do. So there's a few things that we have in place that have been put in place over the last few years, and then a few other pieces that would be addressed through this referendum. Some of the things that we have in place that we've been doing over the last few years include our Raptor system, which is the way that we screen visitors to our schools. Every visitor needs to go into the office and be screened. We also utilize ALICE training for all of our staff, which is a method for handling an intruder who's in the building, and our staff is trained on that, and we continue to provide more training for staff in that area. And then we also just recently installed a phone system, which is a video messaging system for access to the building. So when someone comes up to our schools, they don't have unfettered access to walk into the schools. They need to be checked before they are allowed to enter. That hadn't been in place until this summer, and we put that in over this summer at Washington Kosciuszko, Jefferson, at the early childhood entrance at Goodview Elementary, and then also at the ALC. So we now have a system similar to that in place in all of our schools. And Sarah, we're going to share some things about the referendum and how that relates to safety and security.
Correct. A successful referendum would allow us to build on these items that Rich has talked about, and would allow us to have secure vestibules at all of our buildings, and would also allow us to have updated security camera systems throughout the district.
So our facilities task force really identified that safety and security as one of the main aspects of the referendum, and something that we needed to make sure was consistent across all of our schools.
And so far, the system has been working pretty well, do you think?
It has, yes. Yep, it's working very well, thanks.
So we talked a little bit about some of those phase one things, the critical issues. What about phase two, and what would that all include?
Yeah, phase one was identified as those critical immediate needs, but we also know that we need to have a plan for what Winona Area Public Schools facilities are going to look like over the next 20, 30, 40, and even 50 years. And it's an important conversation that we have to have with our community. We realize that it doesn't do us any good to bring forward a plan to the voters and taxpayers that isn't going to have support. So phase two isn't in place right now. It would be something that over the next couple years we would be planning together with our communities. The facilities task force and my recommendation was that once phase one is put in place and we have been in our current reality with our new facilities makeup over the upcoming year, then we engage our community into discussions about how we can set ourselves up as a school district to have successful facilities that both meet the needs of our learners and are something that community members are in favor of. And I think the only way to do that is to have a multi-year plan and a multi-year process to develop a plan. So phase two is really a planning process that will be used to identify what do we want as a school district for our facilities, not just for a couple years down the road, but what will set us up for success for the next 40 to 50 years.
Now, the question that everybody thinks about, I mean, we talk about security, well, we want that, we want all the best things for the schools, but then how is this going to affect my pocketbook? So what's the tax impact going to be for property owners on this?
I'll let Sarah handle that one.
Sure. For a home that's valued at $100,000, the annual tax impact would be about $20 or about $1.67 per month. If a person wants to know what the tax impact is on their specific property, they're able to go out on the district website, and there's a tax calculator link out there. So people with both residential and commercial properties are able to put in the tax value, and the calculator will tell them what that dollar amount is. It's important to note that agricultural property owners will benefit greatly from the 40% ag tax credit. So that's a help out there for those property owners. And that tax calculator will also give information on ag properties. And as always, if a person has specific questions about the tax impact, they can certainly contact us at the district office.
We felt it was really important as we were planning how to meet both the immediate and the long-range needs to try to keep a stable tax impact on our communities. So we've timed this request to the voters with the debt from the Winona Middle School falling off, which helps decrease the tax impact of this proposal. And then our long-range plan is to look at once this tax impact falls off from the taxpayers. Sarah mentioned that that's in 4 years, so it's about $20 a year or $1.67 per month for a $100,000 home, and that's over the course of 4 years. That ends in 4 years, and that would be a great time for us then to, when that tax impact falls off, to look at putting together a plan to meet those long-term needs. So keeping that tax impact at as level an amount as possible so that we don't have high swings and then low lows is something that most school districts do.
Now, we kind of touched and kind of really lightly brushed, I think, this referendum of what it all is going to entail. There are going to be some sessions coming up for people to learn some more about it. Can you have those dates off the top of your head, Rich?
Yeah, we held one already last week at Winona Senior High School, and we have another one coming up on October 25th at 6 p.m. It's open to anyone in the public. It's in the auditorium, again at Winona Middle School, October 25th. And we also go out to a lot of community groups and present information about the referendum and answer questions. And in addition to those opportunities, the League of Women Voters is sponsoring a election forum, and we've been invited to share information about the referendum at that. And our website has more specifics on the different projects. As we mentioned earlier, there's 3 key areas: safety and security, accessibility for people with disabilities, because we feel that we need to make sure that that's consistent across all of our buildings in our district, and also critical asset preservation. And just a couple real quick examples of some things in that area. In a few of our buildings that were built back in the 1930s, we still have some original plumbing, some original electrical work, and so a big part of this project would be to replace some of that in some of our buildings. And we talk about it as critical asset preservation because we have some great facilities, but we have to make sure that we are updating them as time goes on and taking care of those so that we can continue to utilize those schools. So I don't know, Sarah, if you had anything else to add about upcoming information sessions or ways that people can get more information?
You know, our website is always a great source of information, and if there's something that you're questioning that isn't on there, call us. We're happy to help.
Yep, calls and emails, and we have a frequently asked questions spot on our website too for questions that have come up repeatedly. We want to make sure, and it's an important part of our job, to ensure that people have all the information that they need about what they're voting for. And then we just encourage people to get out and vote on November 6th.
All right. Sarah, Superintendent Dahman, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave.
And Rich will take my seat when Making the Grade continues here on HBC TV 25.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
My name is Joe Glendy, and I'm the HBC Air Network Engineer. AirMax is a microcell technology that eliminates the problem of needing to build fiber lines to every town by having a short, fixed wireless connection to the home. HBC develops and continues to expand this type of service to reach the communities that are beyond our fiber network. AirMax technology allows us to bridge the digital divide.
HBC is leadership in your community. Call today to get started with HBC's family of services.
Stream live episodes of your favorite shows on the HGTV app. Download the app and watch the latest shows for free.
Raise your hand if you want to break some stuff. Whack it.
Because you're in control.
We're trying to help families get top dollar for their current place and get them into a home that works for the family.
Your shows, when and where you want them.
Are y'all ready to see your fixer-upper? Oh.
It's a big deal.
You excited as I am?
Done. Stream now on your favorite devices.
Wondering where you can go to find great old movies? Well, look no further than HBC TV 25. Each week, TV 25 presents the HBC movie, and we won't monkey around. We'll show you movies like Night of the Living Dead, Giant Gila Monster, The Fat Spy, His Girl Friday, and others. Join us mornings at 12:30 a.m., and for those of you with better sleeping habits, Saturday afternoon at 2 on HBC TV 25 for the HBC movie.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style. At Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Hi, this is Rich Dahman, Superintendent with Winona Area Public Schools, back with another edition of Making the Grade. With us today as our guest is our new Transportation Coordinator with Winona Area Public Schools, Tammy Townsend. Welcome, Tammy, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to hear some things about our transportation system, but we're going to start by asking Tammy just to share a little bit about your work experience prior to coming to Winona Area Public Schools, because you just started with us right before the start of the school year.
It was, yes. I came from Northwest Arkansas, so I have a little bit of an accent. And my work experience was really in a transportation department doing a lot of different things. I started as a bus driver, so I've had that experience, and I moved into some dispatching and routing and some safety training, so I've kind of covered the bases there.
Excellent. Yeah, it's been great to have you here with Winona Area Public Schools. Can you share a little bit with our audience about your role as Transportation Coordinator? What does a Transportation Coordinator do?
Sure. My role is to really create an efficient and safe and effective system for our students to obtain transportation to and from school.
Excellent. And I know that you, as I mentioned earlier, you started literally right before the school year started, and have really jumped into things. Can you share anything that you've learned during your time with the district so far about transportation here with Winona Area Public Schools?
Sure. You know, I've learned a few things. I think the biggest thing is that it's putting all of those pieces together in the transportation department. So it's the stop information and the routing information, those safety things, and applying our resources in the best way to make it an efficient and safe system for all of our students to obtain the transportation that they need.
And I know that you work really closely with First Student, who is our transportation vendor that we work with. Can you share a little bit about how that relationship has gone?
The relationship there has been really wonderful. They are very excited and enthusiastic about providing this service for our students. And they are a great group of professional bus drivers that truly want the safest and best possible trip for our students. They're often the first person that our students see each day. So we want to make that the most safe and effective and good experience for our students.
Excellent. As you're setting up a transportation system, there's all kinds of parts to that, and it's very important that we look at the whole system. As decisions are made around transportation, what are some of the things that you take into account as you're developing that transportation system?
Well, the system really comes together when the board of directors, our school board decides the policies really based on state statutes and helping us remain compliant to all of the laws surrounding transportation. So that's really how things kind of begin. It's then kind of handed to us to really create a system that provides the greatest amount of service to our students and those that we're serving. Now, that doesn't always mean that we can create a service and a system that meets every individual need, but we can do our very, very best to provide that on a wide scale to meet most of the needs in our district.
I know that we have One of our policies for transportation is that if students live within 1 mile of their school, then they're responsible, the family's responsible for their transportation. If they live outside of 1 mile, then the school district provides transportation that some families take advantage of and others choose not to. And then there's also a policy about the bus stops and how far students should be from the bus stops. Can you share a little bit about that? Or?
Sure, absolutely. That's one of those pieces, actually, of the many pieces that go into creating our system, keeping in mind that walk area boundary, along with the stop distance. We try to keep it within a 3-block distance so that no student is having to walk more than 3 blocks. So it really gives us the place to use our resources effectively, and also, I mean, obviously serve our students and really create a system to meet those needs.
Excellent. So just to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, if students live inside 1 mile from their school, then they walk to school or ride their bike, or I saw a couple students on skateboards last week, which is kind of fun this time of year. But if they live outside of that mile, then there's bus stops that are always, or we strive to have those within 3 blocks of the residence?
Correct.
Okay. All right. What if parents want to find out more information about the bus routes or the bus times? What's the best way for them to access that information for their son or daughter?
Right. We have a couple of really great resources for parents, and one of the best resources is for those students that are attending a Winona area public school is to check in their Infinite Campus portal. And parents can see the actual bus stop and the bus times, and they can access that at any time, and that's the most current up to date. Another resource, obviously, is checking the district webpage. And there are resources there for students that are one of our parochial schools or charter school, or someone that may not have access to that system. So that's always a great resource.
Excellent. I know that we're not at snow season yet, but here in Minnesota, obviously, snow season goes on for quite a while.
Right.
When we get close to that, how will parents and families and students be able to be alert to weather cancellations if school is starting 2 hours late, or if school is canceled or going to get out early because of a storm that's coming?
Right. First of all, we're always focused on safety, and that's our main concern. The way that we want to let our parents know will be generally a mass email or text message to those in our district. Those that are in our district that are attending other schools, charter schools, things like that, that information will come from those schools. And our local media outlets are always a great resource as well.
Yeah, I think obviously we're not at that point yet, but
Not yet.
but we have to be prepared for that severe weather when that time hits. And during that time, it's even more important that we have that strong communication with families and that plan in place so that we provide that safe routes to school for all of our students. What are some goals that you have for the transportation across the district?
Sure. Some of the things that I've really seen that I think are key in our system is communication. And I know I was a single mom with 3 kids, and we lived in a walk area. And so I had to overcome a lot of those challenges that I know a lot of parents in our district have to overcome. And so I think one piece is communicating and being really proactive about the changes that we need to make. We're always going to be in change because that's how stops change, times change, and that's kind of how things go. But being proactive with our parents and our community to let everyone know so that we're all on the same page, because we're all on the same team. We're all working for the same goal, which is what's in the best interest of all of our students.
I think that thought about doing what's best for all students is something that we have to remember. I know sometimes people get caught up in the change and things that are different, but the realization that we have to put together a plan that works for everyone, I think, is very important. Moving forward as a district, as we are going through the school year, I know again you're brand new here, but what are some things that you'll be thinking about as we move forward throughout the course of the school year?
A couple of things that we're going to be looking at are creating an even flow and making sure that the communication is that we're on point with that and that we're able to make these transitions smoothly so that the parents have the information and that our drivers have the information and we're able really to collectively bring all of that together for a smooth transition, whether that's rollover into the new year or changes in our routes, and really it's creating that smooth, even flow.
And I know that that's important because at times routes have to change during the course of the year. A new family could move in and require a stop in an area where there isn't one right now. And then that might have some impact on everyone else along that route. So I think that having that flexibility and that strong communication with families is vitally important.
That's very true, and I so appreciate the patience of the parents that we've had and the support from our community that we've had in this transition. I truly appreciate that, and I look forward to working with our parents and making those changes and shifting in the direction that's really the best for our students.
Great. Tammy, in closing, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Just that I am happy to be a Winona Windhawk.
Right. Well, it's great to have you here. So thanks for joining us, Tammy. And again, this is Superintendent Rich Dahman and Transportation Coordinator Tammy Townsend with another edition of Making the Grade.
Cost Cutters is your family's full-service salon specializing in cuts, colors, and curls. Visit any one of our professional stylists today and get the look you want for less.